I've noticed that what it's done personally is I buy things, I can generally, I can vouch for the fact that the things that I buy now are things that are higher quality, the things that I actually want, and I'm returning things less, and therefore I'm saving more money. So that to me is the ultimate win-win.
Welcome to Sunday Mornings with me, Gina Lee. Tune in each episode and join me for a cozy catch-up where we talk goals, growth, and finding joy in the everyday. Grab your favorite drink and let's dive in.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sunday Mornings. This week I am really excited to share my journey with how I've really controlled my impulse buying. I've been thinking about this a lot because with the July 4th and between Memorial Day and May, July 4th sales now, and Prime Day now around the corner, I've been getting inundated on social media and my emails with all of these stores with different sales and all of the time-sensitive messaging about you want to take advantage of this before the promo is over. And whenever I would see those messages, I used to just feel this sense of, oh my God, I need to figure out exactly what I want to buy for all these things because I'm going to lose out on the great deal. And there's all these things that I had in my head of what I wanted to buy, but they weren't really organized. So I would swing in one of two directions. One is I would either miss the sale completely because I just didn't know what I wanted to buy at the time. I didn't really have any organized way of figuring out what things were worth buying now because they were on sale versus what could wait, or I would just impulse buy all the things and say that I will return them sometime in the future with varying degrees of success in returning the item. And so I want to share one of the things that I do in order to not get so swept up in this hyper consumer phase where we need to buy everything while still managing to buy the things that I want to buy or need to buy, taking advantage of the sales when it's applicable, and also just approaching my spending with a little bit more intentionality while also being able to save money. So with that, let's dive in. Over the past couple of years, I have curated what I call my dream purchase list or future purchase list on Notion. And I first heard about this from Jules in one of her videos. It's something that she does in order to put a placeholder for the purchases that she wants to make in the future and figure out whether or not she wants to buy that thing now or not at all. And I found for me generally that the reason why I started adopting this framework is because it actually started with when I wanted to build out my capsule wardrobe, and I would buy things that were similar to what I had imagined in my head, and what I ended up with was a hodgepodge of pieces that were very similar to what I wanted but not exactly what I wanted. And so I would end up either wasting a lot of money because I'm not buying the things that I actually want, that I'm actually envisioning, or I'm making a lot of returns because I'm returning those things. At the same time, I'm not somebody who is continuously shopping. I have some friends who have a catalog in their head of things that they want to get and will occasionally browse websites or go to the mall for clothes, especially to see what they want, or friends who really enjoy online shopping. I actually really hate online shopping because I feel like I'm a very visual and tactile person, and especially with clothes, I just find that there's so much variation in women's sizes, and I'm pretty inconsistent across brands. I feel like I can range anything from an X small to a large depending on the brand, and so I hate buying things online and then having to go through the process of returning them. I like being able to try things on. Or with furniture, I like being able to sit on the piece of furniture, touch the piece of furniture, just to figure out whether or not that's something that I want to buy or not. And what I ended up finding was that when all these deals, especially now that online shopping is so prolific, would come up, I would start feeling that pressure. You gotta buy now before it's too late, 70% off, 60% off. And side note, it's never 60% or 70% off the things that you actually want to buy. It's a bunch of things that you generally 99% of the time don't want. And so I need to find a better way that works for me. And I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, I had hit a point where there was a bunch of things I wanted to buy for my apartment around Black Friday, but I didn't know. By the time Black Friday rolled around, I felt like I was basically just on the different furniture stores nonstop trying to figure out what to buy now, what was worth buying on sale, what might still be around. And it was just taking up so much time and energy. And I was like, I need a system. And so what I started doing after that Black Friday was I created this dream purchase list page in Notion. And so if you're not familiar, Notion is a project management, task management software. People use it for a variety of ways. I use Notion to basically organize my whole life. life, which I'm happy to talk about if that's something that interests you. But anyways, I have this page in Notion called my dream purchase list, and it's very simple. I use the dream purchase list page as a way to catalog two main types of things that I'm looking for. I have a section in my dream purchase list of these are the things that I'm on the lookout for because they fill in some gap that would make moving and just existing in my life a little bit easier. And same thing with clothes. If I'm trying on an outfit and I'm like, oh, I really wish I had a belt for this, or this would go really nicely with a certain pair of earrings, but I don't really have that style, I'll make a note of it. So this is like the bucket of things that are like things that I'm looking for that would complete or add to what I already have, but I don't exactly know what that exact item is. And then in that section, I'll just sit with it. And then what I've done is when I'm like in that note, I will bold or add ticks when the same thing is coming up more and more frequently. So instead of all of this before, I used to have this page would sit in my head, but now it would sit in my head and then I would forget about it until the next time comes around. And I'm like, I remember that I said I really wanted this paper towel holder, but I kept forgetting about it. And instead I would have a paper towel holder in my notes. And then if I was reminded that from something else that I was doing that I wanted that thing, then I would bold it. Why I do that is because then it allows me to figure out when I carve out time to do some research, these are the top priority things that I want to be able to figure out what I want to buy, so that way when a sale or something comes around the next time, I can just buy those things immediately. By bolding some of the things that come up repeatedly, it allows me to then really think about what are the specifications of the thing that I need. For example, so we have limited counter space in our apartment, and so one of the things that I wanted was one of those towel racks, like paper towel holders that can slot underneath a cabinet. The reason why was because I was constantly bumping in the towel holder that we had and would knock it over. So I wanted it to be sticky under the cabinet. Like throughout that process, I learned also the that we had was stainless steel, which really easily collect dust. So every time that I was in the section and cleaning, I would always have to clean that paper towel holder, and I just hated doing that. I also don't like stainless steel generally because it's cooler tone. I wanted something more neutral or warmer tone, or something with just white and black accents because that's what I really like. So I made a note like, okay, I want something that is a renter friendly option that I can stick underneath our cabinet, and I want something that's not a stainless steel finish. From there, if I'm scrolling on Instagram or something, then I could very easily figure out what were some of the things that other people had or were sharing that they really liked that would actually fit that criteria. And this was really helpful for me because I find that I don't tend to read all of the specifications of a particular item, because a lot of the times, a lot of the specs are noise. I don't have a defined idea of how long the thing needs to be, so measurements and weight, I don't really care about that. I care generally about how it looks and how it functions. And that for me, I can really only understand through trial and error. And so by having an idea of how I'm using this thing, how I envision this thing, it makes it a lot easier for me to then be able to figure out how it fits into my aesthetic. Then it makes it easier to feel like, okay, that's the thing that I actually want. So what I'll do is if I wanted a white dress, like this white dress, for example, then I'll likely have added it to the list of saying, oh, I really want a white summery, like cotton or linen dress that I can wear in the summertime. I'll imagine what other white dresses that I have, and the few that I have aren't like this material. It's not a shorter dress, and I wanted this one because I remember that when I was in Banff or in Europe, I was really wanting a very minimalist white dress that I could dress up or dress down based on the occasion. It was also really light and breezy for those European summers, and so that's like the context for me wanting that dress. Normally, if I don't think about this, I'm thinking, oh, I need a white dress. And then what old me would do is if I'm scrolling on Instagram, I would be like, oh, that's a nice white dress. Or when it's like sale season, I'll be like, oh, there's a bunch of these white dresses on sale. Maybe I'll buy this one. And then it turns out it's not like the right fabric material, it's not the right length or something else. And I don't think about those things when I'm buying it because I'm so fixated on, oh, this is a really good deal, that then when I buy it, I'm like, oh, this doesn't actually meet any of the needs that I had for wanting this thing in the first place. And so now what I do is like, I'll have that general idea of like why I want the thing and like how I'm thinking about being in that thing, if it makes sense, or like interacting with the thing. And then that's when I'll go to Pinterest or Instagram for inspiration, or certain brands that I really like where I'll go peruse their website and see if there's anything that fits the bill and then read the reviews and things like that. And I found that's really helped like dramatically decrease my impulse buying when it comes to sales, because I'm not like, I need to get the thing because that thing might disappear and I thought that was the thing that I wanted. And so then when I have an idea of the exact exact things that I want. So generally for me on that list, what that looks like now is I have a list of like certain clothes that I want from specific brands, or certain jewelry that I want for specific brands. And I'm not going to go out and buy all of those things, or like certain, that's like the generic bucket of this is the type of thing that I'm looking for, but I don't know the exact thing yet. Once I do that research and then I'm looking for the exact thing that I want, so then what happens is now what I have on my list is that section of here are some ideas of the things that I'm looking for, and then here's another section of these are the exact items that I want. And then when a sale happens for either a brand that I like, or like when it's a season when you know that there's going to be a lot of sales, so like July 4th is one, Amazon Prime Day is one, and Black Friday being the biggest, then I can literally just copy and paste those links once the sales are live and then see, oh, is that thing on sale? Do I still want it? And then I'll make the decision to purchase or not, depending. And I found that this whole process, while it's very simple, I don't know why I hadn't done it previously, it just makes it so much easier to not get caught up in all of that like marketing. So maybe if you're stronger and you're not susceptible to all of that marketing, then this video isn't for you and you can just hold all of that in your brain. But that isn't true for me. I can definitely get swept up in the marketing. I definitely get swept up in this thing is gonna be on sale only for 2 more days, so get it now or never get it again, even though there are rarely things that you can never buy again once the season is over. I've noticed that what it's done personally is I buy things, I can generally, like, I can vouch for the fact that the things that I buy now are things that are higher quality, the things that I actually want, and I'm returning things less, and therefore I'm saving more money. So like that to me is the ultimate win-win. I'm buying the actual thing that I want, I'm getting satisfaction and like happiness and joy out of the thing that I actually want, and I'm saving money because I'm buying it at an opportune time. And on the whole, I feel like it's changed my approach to consumerism in the first place. Like in an age where it's just so easy to instantly click and buy the thing that you want, I don't want to do that. I want to be more methodical about my purchases. I want to think about how these things that we're so easily buying can, like, how that interacts with like my body or my space, like how I want to feel when using the thing. And I just want to bring more intentionality to shopping, in part because there's like a huge carbon footprint to this mass consumerism age that we live in, where it's so easy to buy and return things. And on the whole, I would say a really positive side effect of this, for me at least, is when I look at all the purchases that I make on average, I say generally for most mid-sized purchases, things that are a little bit more expensive types of clothes, or not big pieces of furniture, but more like appliances, organization items, or decor pieces, I found that number one, I'm buying less than half of the things that I put on my list that I think I need when I actually don't need that. Or if I do buy it, I'm waiting at least 3 to 6 months, so I'm really confident in my decision before making the purchase. And then for big furniture items, I usually have an idea in my head of the thing that I want, and I'm trying to figure out if that's actually the thing that I want, or if there are other options that I haven't considered. Maybe I fell for that original thing because of marketing. So for me, my couch is a big example of that. Our couch was probably one of the biggest furniture investments that we made. I had an idea of how we wanted to use the couch, what the couch should look like, how big the couch was, etc. And I think for the couch, we waited a year to replace. And so for those bigger furniture item decisions, I'm averaging a minimum of 9 months before making the purchase. So I want to share like a recent example of how I'm thinking through this. So I had been wanting to replace my air fryer since November of last year. So around Black Friday last year, when there was a bunch of air fryer deals going on. And I think right around that time, like our place was having some marketing about their new like toaster oven air fryer combo thing. And so at that time I was like, I'm not going to buy anything, but I know I want to replace my air fryer. I know that I use my air fryer a lot, so I really like it, but I also am at a point, like we've had our air fryer for almost like 5 years now, so the coating is coming off and it's like definitely in need of replacement. At the same time, I was like thinking, okay, so that air fryer goes on the list of this is the thing that I want. And then as I'm like using my air fryer over these past few months, I'm thinking about what would be nice to have. So one is that like I have a friend who has an air fryer where you can see through how the thing inside is cooking. So I was like, oh, a nice to have would be an air fryer that allows you to see the thing that you're cooking with a little window as opposed to something that's completely covered, which is like the one that I have. While not using our air fryer, I leaned on my toaster, but then our toaster died. So now I was thinking, do I want to buy another toaster, or do I want a hybrid toaster and air fryer combination? For me, in my ideal scenario, I don't buy another toaster because it's more appliances on the counter. I generally like having a minimalist countertop. So I was like, okay, in an ideal world, it would be a combo toaster oven and air fryer. I was also thinking about this because when our toaster broke, we were using the oven a lot, and I was using our oven to reheat things like frozen bagels, and that was just taking forever. I was thinking maybe I don't need a toaster because I can use the oven. It turns out that I really don't use the oven that often, so I want a toaster oven that heats things up faster. In an ideal world, the toaster oven and air fryer combo would be the ideal. And then I was like, I have this idea that's a pretty fleshed out idea in that section of what is the thing that I'm looking for, right? I have the requirements of it being a dual air fryer and toaster, and I want one that is good at both as opposed to mediocre at both, which is the risk that I've heard with combo toaster ovens and air fryers, is that it's not really that good at either one, or if it's generally good at the toaster oven but not the air fryer part. So I was like, it needs to be good at both. And if it turns out that there's nothing on the market that's good at both, then maybe I will have to get an air fryer and a toaster. I also, as a nice to have, want it to fit the aesthetic of our kitchen and our kitchen appliances. And so a lot of my kitchenware is green or white and gold. I generally don't like cooler tone colors, and I'm not partial to certain colors like pink, red, or orange. In an ideal world, I'll pick function over form any day, but if form and function can both be within scope, then that would be the ideal. So then when it comes to the section of, okay, what's the exact thing that I want? I was like, I've had friends and I read both on reviews and personal reviews from friends that they love their combination Breville toaster oven. I trust Breville as a brand because I have their coffee maker, and I also know that they have a combination toaster oven and air fryer. And so then I did some research to figure out like which size that I want, what are the pros and cons. And ultimately I landed that I want a specific type of toaster oven air fryer combo, smart oven I think it's called, from Breville. And so we're now in like July, right? So that was like an 8-month decision process for this $400 kitchen appliance. But in that 8 months, I was really able to think about what I actually wanted from this. What do I want it to look like? How do I want it to work? And what's the exact thing that I want? So that now when all these sales come up, like for July 4th or Amazon Day, then I can see if the toaster oven that we want is actually going to be available and on sale. And if it's not, then we're not in any specific rush. So I'm willing, and generally I feel like Black Friday of all of the sales has the best sales for every single category. What we'll likely do is wait until Black Friday to make the purchase, because if it turns out that it's on sale, then we'll buy it then. And if not, then it's likely never going to go on sale. So then I feel confident about making that purchase and not feeling like I lost out or missed out on an opportunity. So that's how, like, for these multiple $100 or like $1,000 purchases that are like bigger purchases, this is how like I've used this list and system as a way to make really thoughtful choices or purchases for like myself and for our home, and that makes me feel like really confident in the decision that we're making by the end of it. So I really hope that helps illustrate like how I've been using the system. And if you're someone like me where you're trying to make more conscious shifts in your spending, both because you're trying to curate a certain aesthetic that meets your vibe and you haven't quite hit the mark yet, if it's you're trying to be more intentional in your spending and thinking about both the financial and like environmental costs associated with that, and you're struggling with that, then I hope this framework just really helps you, because it's really simple. It's just taking a moment to pause and sit with the things that you say that you want or you need, and figuring out if that's actually true for you. And if it turns out that it is something that you need or want, really having a clear idea of what that is, so then when you do buy it, you feel really good about the decision. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.